it to you.
Well, I think I'm live, as I promised you guys. A little 2:30 p.m. fun today. So, I'm at this place called the Wellness Tree in Spokane, Washington. Cool little spot. Care if I show people Wellness Tree real quick? This is Dr. Patrick Love.
Howdy, everybody.
Yeah, he operates out of here. Does a whole bunch of cool, kind of cutting-edge procedures. We're going to have another doc, I think a doc or two, on this show as well with me to answer your guys' questions about ozone and blood irradiation, ultraviolet blood irradiation, or UBI. So if those docs are on right now, I believe you can make a request to join. And if you make a request to join, I can add you in so you can field questions as we go. And there's a quick thing for those of you who might be near the area. We're in Spokane, Washington right now, in the Perry district, and this is a cool little spot. It's called the Wellness Tree, and they've got this huge. You guys don't mind if you're on camera, do you? They've got this wonderful menu that I had no clue existed because this is my first time here. So you guys are going to see me now as a repeat guest. They got juices, they got acai bowls, and IV therapy, acupuncture, hydrotherapy. They do it all. They could probably even give you a coffee enema with one of their fancy coffee drinks. Anyways, though, what we're doing today, and all sorts of supplements. They got everything here. The Thorne line. They've got a good range of stuff. So, cool spot. It's called the Wellness Tree. So, what we're going to do is go back on here to Dr. Patrick's office, where he's got a whole bunch of toys. And this is called the Wellness Tree in Spokane. It's literally 20 minutes from my house. I never even knew this place existed. So here I am. Anyways, though, if any of the docs who are going to join in are on, I should be able to add you. So let me check here and see if I can go live with you. You need to, if you're a doctor on the call today and you're one of the docs who's supposed to join me, just click the request to join button, and that will allow you to join in. And let me just join, and let's see. And I'm getting some requests to join from people who I don't recognize, like Sitcom Soldiers. I'm not sure Sitcom Soldiers is one of the docs who's supposed to join us or not. So in just a second, though, we'll get rock and rolling. I've already got a bunch of questions flying in, but let's see what we got here. All sorts of questions. So what we'll do is we'll have the docs field the questions as soon as they make a request to join here. Let's see if I can add any of you if I see you in here. So if you're one of the docs who's supposed to be on this call answering questions, just click that request to join button, and I will be able to add you. I'm not going to go live with you unless you're one of those people. So, anyways, though, so I'll wait for you guys. In the meantime, Dr. Patrick Love,
hey,
what are we doing here, man?
Hey, we're going to do a little photo-oxidative treatment today, combining UV light with ozone.
And when you combine UV light with ozone, what's happening in the body?
Well, the blood's getting oxygenated and circulated, so better circulation, better immune function, better detoxification, lower inflammation, lots of good stuff. So
we're talking about essentially amplifying the body's oxygenation, but also equipping you for better mitochondria, and possibly reduce susceptibility to some infections. There may be, and this is based on some of the things you may see Dr. Matt Cook putting out. Who's going to be coming out on my podcast on Thursday. We talk about this a little bit. There may be a little bit of an antiviral activity, some of these ozone type of treatments. Same thing with ultraviolet blood irradiation, which is why I think that President Trump was telling us all to get out in the sunlight and drink disinfectant. Are we going to drink any disinfectant today?
Well, not officially.
All right. We'll do that. We'll do that off the record. All right, I got a request to join here, so let's see who we've got. Well, I don't see any of the docs on here yet, but in the meantime, what we can do is we can get started. You can just show me how this is done.
Yeah, so basic we use an IV here. You could use a butterfly, but we use a catheter, and it all starts with drawing some blood. So I think today we'll start with kind of what we call our basic major autohemotherapy, kind of a one pass. So 50 cc's of blood. You can use 50 or 60.
Yep.
We combine double that amount in ozone. It's about 100 cc's of ozone. So you can go up from there, and we can do 5 passes and more passes and more UV, but this is a great basic treatment.
So when he says pass, you guys, that's how many times the blood passes through and is irradiated and ozonated. So you can do 1 pass, 5 pass, 10 pass. So we're going to do a little demo for you guys today and show you how this works. So
cool. Give me 1 minute. I'll be right back.
All right, I'll talk at you guys while he's getting prepped. And again, if you're one of the, so it looks like Dr. Zelk and Owen. So sleep RD, make a request to join, and I can add you. So sleep RD, if you request to join, I can add you in here, or I might be able to do it manually. Doesn't look like I'm able to, but you can make a request, and if any other docs are on the show or on the call and want to make a request, go for it. So if you guys have questions as we go, this is more like a demo for you to see how it works. I'm not sure how many questions I'm going to be able to scroll through with needles attached to my arm, but that's why I wanted to get the docs on here to share this call with me if they're able to hop on. And in the meantime, I can reply to a few of your guys' questions if you got a few questions. King Syed sent a request to me. Have I had ozone before? Yeah, I've actually done this a lot. I've done 10-pass ozone. I've done ozone dialysis. You feel amazing afterwards. It's wonderful for the immune system. It's wonderful for energy. Wonderful for the mitochondria. Wonderful for oxygenation. I actually wanted to run this question by Patrick when he comes on and when he comes back, because I think that sometimes it's co-administered with like glutathione IVs, vitamin C therapy, etc., which I've always pondered upon because those are antioxidants and we're actually trying to oxidize with something like ozone or UV blood irradiation. So I suspect that separating antioxidant therapy from these treatments at a different time of day would probably be a little beneficial. And we can ask, I know a lot of you guys are asking how much this costs. We can ask Patrick when he comes back in about that as well and see what he says regarding that, because I don't know the exact cost of these therapies, but they're incredibly efficacious, and you actually be very surprised when you take your health into your own hands like this, the kind of benefits you can get. All right, let's see. How do you find a practitioner in your area? That'll be another question for Patrick, although I really like the Wild Health MD network. You can go to Dr. Matthew Cook's website at BioReset Medical. Look him up and some of the doctors who he's worked with. If you go to my website and do a search for ozone therapy, you'd find a few podcasts that I've done with people. Avi Herskowitz in the Bay Area, he's another really good guy for this. And a lot of you asking about dosages for cysteine and glutathione and stuff like that. Like a lot of that stuff is gonna vary widely from person to person. The Hocat sauna, people ask about ozone saunas, and yeah, you can actually get quite a bit of ozone through the skin in one of those saunas. So you need to be careful because you can also breathe in a lot of ozone. I'm going to be interviewing Jane Goldberg soon on my show, who runs an ozone sauna treatment facility in New York City, where we're going to get to talk to her about radiation, ozone, some of these so-called hormetic stressors, and whether mild doses of them might be beneficial. But let's see. So there's lots of questions on here, but let's try and keep it specific to ozone, UV blood irradiation, things you guys might want to ask the doc, etc. And again, I'm gonna go pop into my email real quick and see if any of these other docs want to hop on the call, because they were going to be on fielding questions, but I'm not seeing any requests for them to join. So hold on one quick second. All right, I'm back. Looks like he's got a bag there. So a few people were asking about how much something like this costs, because I would assume that this is like an out-of-pocket treatment for most folks.
For the most part, it is. It's a few $100.
A few $100. So, compared to some of the pharmaceuticals you might pay for, it's actually a pretty good deal. And how often when somebody do something like this?
Really depends kind of on what you're treating. We have people who kind of come seasonally, for like a seasonal tune-up. During the winter months, once a month. Some people step it up, and then if you're treating something more serious like chronic infection, you might do it weekly.
Right, Lyme, mold, mycotoxin, stuff like that. Now, what if somebody came down with a cold or a fever or a viral infection or something like that? Would anything like this, or is there any evidence to show it might shorten the duration or assist in any case like that?
Yeah, I've certainly seen it to lower fever, so antipyretic. We know it ramps up the immune response, so it's going to shorten. If the cold normally lasts 5 or 7 days, might last a day or two.
Yeah. I know anecdotally, I've talked to a lot of docs who've said their patients who have been around sick people who get a protocol like this done. Typically, if they do get sick, it's a very short duration, or they just don't get sick. So it's definitely doing something for immunity. Let's see. Other questions. Do you have like a knowledge of a network of practitioners, Patrick, or a directory of people who are trained in this therapy that you're aware of?
So like Tim Lowe, Tom Lowe, they do put on SOPMed.
Okay. SOPMed. So there's a website. I think they gave us a URL with the video, SOPMed. So if you go to sopmed.com, SOPMed, I'll see if I can type it in here for you guys. SOPmed.com/Greenfield. They shot a video for us. And so there we go. You can go there to find out more. All right.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. All right, let's do this.
So we're going to draw a tube of blood.
So first thing they do is they draw some blood out. So any of you who are watching, you might be a little squeamish and don't like blood. You may want to turn away for this part. And this blood is going to get irradiated, and it's going to pass through ozone. Someone else is asking, how long does this protocol take?
It's pretty quick. It's half an hour, 40 minutes.
Half an hour, 40 minutes. Somewhere right around there. Other questions. Let's see. How uncomfortable is this process? I've never experienced any discomfort while doing this, like you might get from, say, like an NAD IV or something like that. You typically don't see quite as much discomfort from something like that. Do I have good enough vein there, Doc?
I think we'll be able to get some blood.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to always switch if I need to. Please. Prepping the arm. It's a lot of pressure doing this on camera, though. Someone else asked if you use heparin.
Yeah, we have to use a little heparin just to keep things from clotting. And
a little heparin to avoid clotting. How much blood?
We're going to use 50 cc's. You can use more than that, but
we're going to use 50 cc's today. I think you can use more. Someone else asked about vitamin C IV.
Yeah, that's also an IV we do here. We're big fans of. Hang in there. Sorry.
It's not quite a gusher, is it?
This one. It's close. We might have to switch, which happens. It's all right.
That's all right. I got some gushers on the other side.
This doesn't want to go. Sorry.
All right.
That happens.
Take one. Now some I with that one. Okay. Something else I'll run by Patrick as well is this idea of vitamin C, glutathione, etc. We're kind of initiating a little bit of an oxidative process, and is there any logic to the idea that you wouldn't want to shut that down by co-administering or administering afterwards, something like glutathione or vitamin C? Or
there is. I think there's something to that, and you got to remember the difference. In vitamin C, low doses are an antioxidant. High doses, above 15, 20, 25 grams, are an oxidant.
Okay.
So it depends on the dose.
So like if you used a high dose vitamin C, that would amplify the oxidation process.
Yeah, you could combine those.
Interesting. So you either do high dose vitamin C or not.
Yeah. Sorry, Ben.
So,
Usually we get it. There we go.
all right, we're in. We're in. Into the vein. So now we've got that in. I'm going to draw some blood. Let's see. We got some other questions here. Are there any contraindications that ozone increases interferon, which can hurt the patient and increase chances of a cytokine storm?
No, and especially combined with UV light. The UV light really modulates that ozone response. So, hey,
Okay,
blood
so now
looks
we're
good. Blood's looking
drawing this blood. So we're going to take 40 cc's of my blood and draw it up into this tube, and that's the blood that will then get irradiated
and ozonated. This blood looks bright, so you're doing something right.
It says I got bright blood. It's all those beets. I actually did have some beets last night for dinner because I knew we'd need a lot of good blood today. What are the kind of questions you guys have about this protocol? One person wants to know if you're familiar with Dr. Schallenberger's work.
Yeah,
Dr. Ozone.
One of the experts.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Dr. Schallenberger wrote a book called The Ozone Miracle, which actually inspired me to buy an ozone generator, which I talk about if you guys go to bengreenfieldfitness.com/virusqa. At bengreenfieldfitness.com/virusqa, I have some of my main takeaways from Dr. Schallenberger's book over there, as well as some information on ozone generators, how to use them, where to get them, etc. How about irradiation? Is there a good book on ultraviolet blood irradiation you know of?
Yeah, right here.
Of course, he's got one. Into the Light. Into the Light. I'm going to have to read that one. So that book, Into the Light, is about ultraviolet blood irradiation, if you guys want to know more about that. Is that something that the lay public would understand, or is it more written from a physician's perspective?
There's a few chapters that are pretty technical, but it's a good overall summary.
Looks like he also wrote a book called Hydrogen Peroxide, The Medical Miracle. A lot of people are nebulizing hydrogen peroxide now as almost like a preventive, or in some cases a treatment for respiratory tract infections. And of course, we have to be very careful with our language. I don't want to get kicked off the Instagrams, but these are things that some docs are doing as a potential management for something like COVID, which I fortunately do not have. I was just tested actually as recently as yesterday for that, just because I've been trying out some of these new tests that come out, the nasal swabs, the antibody tests, etc., and show to be negative for that particular problematic issue.
Just drain a little saline through here.
Okay,
So we're going to mix the blood with saline.
Now he's going to mix the blood with saline, you guys. Isn't this cool? It's almost like we get to be in medical school.
Clear that line.
Now you've got another book over there called Keto for Cancer. Are you a fan of the ketogenic diet, doctor?
I think it's pretty important in certain cases to use that. Yeah.
Do you guys have ketogenic options out of your juice bar, like ketogenic bowls,
We've got a few juices that
or
are
at least low sugar?
pretty low sugar options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so what are we doing now?
So blood's good to go with the saline here, and that's.
So look at that, isn't that cool, you guys? It's like food coloring. So all that blood's going into the saline.
And then this is what we'll mix the ozone into.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll drain through the UV light machine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's UVC, UVB, and UVA ultraviolet light.
Do you ever get concerned? I assume this isn't an issue, but I've been asked this before about like when you're doing that with the blood, about the blood getting contaminated with plastics or anything like that, going in the bag, going in the tubing.
I think it would be better if you could use glass, but
Yeah.
it's not really an option. I think I haven't seen that it's created an issue.
Yeah, I mean most docs that I've seen are still using plastic, but I assume this medical grade plastic probably is safer. Look at that, guys! It's a lot of blood.
So
A lot of blood.
It'll turn really bright and colorful.
Demetrius, what he said was vitamin C would act as an antioxidant in lower doses, but as an oxidant at higher doses. So it would depend kind of how you used it. All right, so we got that bag of blood up there now, you guys. And he's got 2 machines over there. He's got an ozone generator, very similar to the one I have at home, except as you can imagine, I can't particularly do this protocol to myself at home. And then he's also got the irradiation unit over there, which is the ultraviolet blood irradiation, also known as UBI, if you want to look it up. Dr. Jay Wiles said, I'm surprised you agreed to do intravenous instead of rectal. Right, you know what? If we have time, we'll do it all. Let's see. I've got Davis McCulty and Thad Fulmer sent a request to be in the video. I'm not sure either of those guys are the docs who I was expecting to join, but let me check here real quick. Davis McNolly and Thad Fulmer request to join on this video. I can add you in. All right, let's see. Other questions from you guys about this general protocol. What about regularly donating blood and your body's ability to make new blood? I think that depends quite a bit, Carrie Ann. I'm a fan of that for a lot of people with high iron.
So the ozone goes right to the blood here, Ben.
All right, so here's the ozone. He's literally taking the ozone from the ozone generator there. It's going into the blood.
It's kind of a light rocking here.
So you just basically drew the ozone up into that syringe.
Yeah.
So now I've got O3 going into the blood.
Right.
So that's ozonating the blood.
Yep. 2 tubes of that.
Do you know what the gamma concentration of that ozone is that you're using?
50 gamma today. So you can go a little higher, but this is a good strength.
Mm-hmm.
Enough to get the job done.
So gamma is what's used as the concentration for ozone. Like actually, last week my wife got a UTI, so she did a few days of vaginal ozone insufflation at our house. I think she was using close to like 30 gamma or so.
Right. And
there are a lot of uses for this stuff. Obviously some of the home stuff you can do yourself, but protocol like this you would do differently. All right, I'm going to add Sleep Medicine Group. You just made a request to join, but unfortunately it says you're unable to join. I don't know why it says you're unable to join or that you can't go live with me. Otherwise I would add you, but it doesn't look like I can do that, unfortunately. Let's see what other questions we have coming through here. How often do you do ozone? The doc answered that earlier. He said a lot of people do this seasonally. Some people will do it when they're coming down with something or they've been exposed to some kind of illness. Someone else also asked, is it legal? Yes, it is legal. Although if you are in a World Anti-Doping Associated sanctioned sport, technically you're not supposed to get IVs that are in excess of something like 30 ml. However, this kind of is on the border of that because it's technically my own blood getting drawn out and then going back into me. And I'm also not competing in any doping sanctioned sports. All right. We'll have another question for the doc here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another question for the doc. Just 1 second here. Let me view these requests. Okay. Let's see. I got a request from Thad Fulmer and Davis McNulty to join, but I don't think you guys are a couple of the docs I was expecting. So where'd that question go for the doc? Oh, what other type of protocols do you think would go well with this, or supplements, protocols, things that one could do in conjunction with this to make it
It's a great
even better?
Yeah, detoxification. So a lot of times we recommend binders.
Mm-hmm.
So chlorella and carbonized bambus and charcoals to bind up because it is detoxifying.
Mm-hmm.
It goes well as part of a general kind of immune strategy, herbs, adaptogens, Stem cells, great stem cells.
Yeah, I know exosomes seem to be getting pretty popular
Exosomes, yep.
with ozone as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do exosomes here? Yeah. Wow. Amazing. You guys can see here the blood's kind of dripping out, going into.
So blood's nice and bright, so fully oxygenated.
And there it goes. So and then it's also being irradiated right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. And it's that simple. You guys just go. So the ozone goes into the bag with the blood drips out of the bag, the blood goes into the ultraviolet irradiation, and then goes back into my body. The other question that I was going to ask that I'm blanking on now briefly. NAD. Do you ever do NAD along with this?
We do NAD IVs, yeah. Yeah, as well as like sub-Q, so it's a general anti-aging. I think of ozone as very anti-aging. NAD for sure fits in there.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you do many of these type of protocols on yourself or have them done to you?
Yeah, I've done everything, tried everything once on me.
Yeah.
That I've done in the clinic.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. What would you say is the protocol that you do that you like the most or that would give you the most energy?
probably combining some of the different IVs we do with the exosomes or stem cells and peptides.
Yeah.
So that trio, I think, is, other than all the basic lifestyle stuff, sleeping and eating, drinking water. But
what are your favorite peptides to use?
I've gotten good results with the BPCs for repair, the immune ones, thymosin alpha, like the
Yeah, a lot of people are taking thymosin alpha right now.
Yeah. Very relevant for today. The growth hormone ones are good. CJC, acroborlin. So I use mostly the basic ones.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Interesting. All right, let's see. Check something here. Okay, we're gonna add, sleep medicine group on here. So let's see if we can add somebody onto the call to field even more questions. There we go. Hello. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey, Ben. It's Joe Zelk, sleep specialist up in Portland. Sorry, I'm a little hoarse. I've been talking to a lot of dentists across the country. So
cool. Well, you're the guy who reached out to me telling me about ozone and ultraviolet blood irradiation and how effective you thought it was, how much you like it. So in terms of why you're so excited about this type of protocol, how would you put it in your own words?
You know, ozone is it's ripe for more exposure to the general public. Right now, if you're into health promotion or functional medicine or biohacking, you're pretty familiar with the concept, but it's a small network. And so because of the situation, we need to find a way to really ramp up and modulate our immune system. And ozone has been well validated and implemented for years. It just didn't get the exposure. You know, it wasn't a pill. It wasn't something easily you can get off the shelf. And so I think your platform is really going to help us get more information on ozone. And there's a lot of really pretty easily implement modalities for an average person to get familiar with ozone. And of course, what you're doing right now is pretty much the mainstay for folks who have co-infection, chronic fatigue, you know, a lot of indications. It's a laundry list. So I applaud you for getting this word out there, because I really want to get people power to feel confident to get back out there amongst this COVID-19. You got to have some resources, and you have to be directed in something that's a positive action versus just a lot of fear. And from what I'm seeing around in Italy and Germany and places in Europe and South America, this is really, it's a go-to. So we need to get some exposure. So ozone, again, it's very confusing to a lot of folks about ozone because they think of it as reporting pollution or whatever indices, but that's a nitrogenous byproduct of how the earth is trying to clean up the pollution. It's not how medical ozone is. So
right. Yeah, that's one thing that I think even Dr. Schellenberg gets into that in his book, how, when you hear about ozone and pollution and the environment, we're talking about toxic pollutants combined with ozone inhaled, into the respiratory tract where they can cause damage. We're not talking about the use of ozone as a therapy, as a medical treatment, actual medical ozone that's either, rectal or ear or nasal insufflated, or if it is inhaled, which you can do. This is kind of cool. You can encapsulate it in like a lipid medium that protects the respiratory tract, which means that you actually pass the ozone through something like extra virgin olive oil, and then you can literally use like a nasal insufflation and breathe it in. But I think it's the best analogy I can draw is like nicotine in cigarettes, right? We actually know nicotine has some pretty cool effects on the mitochondria. May upregulate cytochrome oxidase. It's a definite nootropic, but of course, a lot of people hear nicotine, they think cigarettes. People hear ozone, they think environmental damage or a hole in the atmosphere. But it's apples and oranges, really. Now, Joe, you've been on my podcast 1 or 2 times. You're a sleep doctor primarily. That's what you're known for, is a sleep doctor. Have you found, especially during this pandemic, that people are having more difficulty with sleep cycles? And the reason I ask this is I've gotten a lot of feedback from people who seem to have had disruptions to their circadian rhythm, despite not really changing much. So I'm curious what you've seen on your end in the sleep environment.
Subtle changes in your rhythm can throw off your sleep. And just the fact that we're kind of clammed into an environment that's unusual to us, and a lot of folks will underestimate how much they're changing their habits. They'll stretch out their TV time closer to bedtime. They'll be obviously thinking about these things nonstop, and the stress levels associated with this. You're floating around with more epinephrine floating through your body. The adrenaline's just making you more, stimulated. So obviously that's going to change the balance in your hormones, and you're going to be more prone to having problems with initiating sleep. Sleep's an active process, and you're probably not going to be as active as you usually are. You're probably not managing your stress as well. You're probably not eating as well. You've got a little more inflammation going on. There's a lot of factors that are just really throwing people off on how they would typically manage their sleep. So they'll underestimate. When you have problems sleeping, people tend to underestimate the factors that are contributing to it.
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate on this one, because I think there's a lot of people, especially people in my audience, who are living a lot more healthy than they were before the pandemic, right? They're at home, they're fasting, they're exercising more, they are possibly mitigating carbohydrate consumption and sweets, they're not out at as many like late night dinners. I know I certainly have gone from being healthy to being really, really healthy during this pandemic, because I'm not in airplanes, I'm not in airports, I'm not in like late night dinner meetings, I'm not drinking cocktails at a steakhouse, etc. And my sleep cycles shifted pretty significantly. I began to wake at like 3 or 4 a.m. And I just was thinking about this over the past few weeks. So I finally began to wear a continuous blood glucose monitor, which I did all of last year. And it turns out that I'm getting very hypoglycemic in the evening. And so what I've begun experimenting with is not eating unhealthily, but actually consuming bigger dinners and more carbohydrates with dinner. And I've actually slept like a baby with that simple adjustment, right? And again, sometimes these things you don't even think about. It's like I'm living healthy, I'm eating less, or I'm eating less carbohydrates, and some people may not be producing as much serotonin or melatonin or having hypoglycemic episodes at night. And I was pretty shocked when I tested, because I did a few back-to-back comparisons of the way that I was eating, and then I began to do more like sourdough bread, rice, red wine, dark chocolate, stuff like that with dinner. And my blood glucose went from dipping into the 40s around 2 or 3 a.m. to staying stable throughout the entire night. And I wasn't waking up at night anymore. So some of it can be due to changes that that are healthy, but might actually be shifting you towards being in almost too fasted or too hypoglycemic a state in the evening.
That's a very good point. You know, it overdoes it a little bit. You know, when you got the time to do it, you tend to overdo it, and then you have to readjust how you're going to respond to that. You know, very individually. What I do want to do, and this is the whole reason why, you know, I looked back into getting more ozone. And again, just to follow up, rectally is a very simple health promote. And again, like Frank always says, it's exercise in a bottle. Okay, if yourself to that little bit of oxidation, it ramps up your body's natural antioxidant production, and you're essentially doing exercise in a bottle. So a little rectal ozone, healthy on a regular basis every few weeks or once a month, will actually ramp up a lot of those natural antioxidant production in the. That being said, it's also a really fantastic disinfectant, and everyone and their cousin, me included, in the beginning, we're hunting down cavicide, you name it. I was hunting down at Costco, and I was wiping everything down. I'm getting, my lungs are hurting. I'm realizing, what am I doing? I'm exposing myself to quaternary ammonias. I'm getting outgassing from all this alcohol-based stuff, and so I'm like, we need to go back and start thinking about regular disinfection, but try to make it as comfortably safe to human beings as possible. So ozone was a natural option for me. Bubble some ozone and some water. It's a fantastic disinfectant. You can clean your vegetables. Your you know, it's gonna go away pretty quickly within 15 minutes or so, or 20 depending on how cold or warm it is. But you can have a fantastic family safe disinfectant without all these quaternary ammonias and VOCs outgassing and worsening your indoor air pollution in your home, which could be a problem if you're in the home. They're so efficient, you don't have good airflow. You're going to have a buildup of all these VOCs, and now you're being exposed to more indoor air quality problems than you were when you're out and about, you know, running around. Now, in general, that's not true because everything looks more lighter in general. But if you're like me and you're out there wiping everything down every 3 seconds, that's going to cause a problem. Okay. So ozone was one option. And that's where I got a hold of, Ben, you got to start talking to folks about HOCl.
Yeah, HOCl is also interesting. I noticed that Dr. Patrick has some bottles out there in his lobby, and I have some out by my mailbox that I use when I'm opening packages. Pretty much at our house, we've got spray bottles with alcohol, some lemon, and some thieves essential oil. We have HOCl. We have ozone, and then just some very basic branch basics cleaning supplies. And so, you know, we really have a very good protocol up at the house, but we're not breathing in some of those ammonias and other compounds that you were talking about earlier. Now, this HOCl, some people might not be familiar with that. Somebody actually just asked, what is HOCl?
Well, my voice is sore. I've been talking to dentists across the country. You know, I'm a sleep specialist, but I'm also a dental device manufacturer. I want these guys to be managing disinfection to the highest level, so I search. HOCl is hypochlorous acid. It is what white blood cells make to disinfect an injury. Okay, you are, and this is the word they were with, biomimicry. If we can copy what Mother Nature does, we can achieve the same ends that we want, but do it as safely as possible. So hypochlorous has been around as long as ozone. The problem is it's a very powerful oxidant. So it, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're frozen. We can hear you.
So it goes away very quickly.
Now your voice went away. I think Instagram's shutting us down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too many
Yeah.
oxidative
Yeah.
things thrown out there.
Yeah. Too many alternative remedies getting thrown out here. We got no sound on you, Joe. For those just joining, where to get ozone. And Joe, by the way, we can't hear you. We cannot hear you. I don't know if anybody can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Say yes if you can hear me. Check, check, check. Let's press pause. There we go. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, so you can hear me. But for some reason, Joe, we can't hear you. Totally lost you. Weird. Can see you, but we can't hear you. So HOCL, you guys, it's definitely something that I would look into. Joe's been filling me in on it quite a bit. There are some companies out there that are making HOCL. I forget some of the brands. You know some of the HOCL brands, Patrick?
So Briotech is
oh yeah, you got a bottle here.
Is the big
Yeah.
one.
Okay. So yeah, that's actually exactly what I have up on my mailbox.
And then Joe has a different
Yeah, Joe has a brand too. I forget what it's called though.
I do too.
You could probably type it in since we can't hear him. Yeah, Joe. Now your voice is really gone. But yeah, Joe, if you type into the chat box if you can, Joe, which HOCL you use, and that way folks will know about that one as well. And you guys could go to Joe's website as well. He's a sleep medicine doctor, and if you do a search for Joe Zelk on my website, you can find it. Toppen Health, TOPPEN Health. Toppen Health is one form of HOCL. Then Briotech is another one. And those are pretty readily available right now, I believe. They're not all sold out. Look at that. My blood bag is almost done. Almost done. So just to summarize for you guys where we're at right now. Yeah, sorry, Joe. I'm gonna say goodbye to you because we can't hear you at all. But you got a pretty face, man. We can see you. We just can't hear you. So everybody thank Joe and go listen to my podcast with Joe. He's a real expert on sleep. So Joe Zelk, ZELK, over at Greenfield Fitness. Okay. So a couple other things as we're wrapping up here. I'm at the Wellness Tree with Dr. Patrick Love. Say hello again, Dr. Patrick. So we're in Spokane, Washington. A wonderful place. They've got like an acai and a juice and a smoothie bar here. They've got all these cool treatments. I actually have never been here before. It's only like 20 minutes from my house. Didn't even know they existed. But Joe let me know about Patrick and what he was doing, and I thought it might be cool for you guys to kind of get a live show of what ozone and ultraviolet blood irradiation looks like. Joe's website is sleeprd.net. And then Patrick, what's your website?
Wellnesstreeclinic.com.
Wellnesstreeclinic.com is Patrick's website. So if any of you decide you want to come to my stomping grounds in Spokane and visit this place, it's actually in a really cool section of town. And again, does all sorts of therapies. So, I know some medical tourists, friends of mine do this. They'll travel somewhere, stay for 3 or 4 days, get a nice hotel, go do some medical treatments, take care of their bodies, almost like a done-for-you domestic wellness vacation. So there you have it if any of you want to come to Spokane and do that. And I'll save this video so that you guys can watch it later. And thank you all for joining in. Hopefully that's shown you something cool health protocol, anti-aging protocol, immune boosting protocol that you can do. So again, it's ozone, it's ultraviolet blood irradiation, and you can do these kind of things in conjunction with things like vitamin C, glutathione, etc. Somebody says, what am I going to do now? What I'm going to do now is I have 3 hours of phone calls with my clients, people who ask me questions about nutrition, about fitness. So I will be walking in the sunshine and talking on the phone for the next 3 hours, and then I'll finish. I'll go play some tennis with my little boys, and then my wife's going to make some roast chicken, and I'll play guitar and then go to bed. And if I get a chance in between now and then, I'm working on a new cookbook for you guys. So stay tuned for that because I'm writing a cookbook right now with all sorts of cool recipes. So I'll be out soon. And thank you guys for watching. I love you. Great questions. You guys are all super smart. I'll catch you on the flip side.